Hey guys, how are you? This is Freight Lady BJ. I'm actually about to go into a dispatch class as a guest just to talk to dispatchers a little bit about how it is working with the freight broker. So enjoy. Hope you can see it okay. I'm about to sign on right now. Okay, launch meeting. See what happens. We go. I just think it's so important for us all to be able to work together, because that's what we do. If I understand what you do, you understand what I do, it makes things a better place to be. So hold on.
In the evening if they need to. But watch out, maybe you're already in a load and you have a problem and you call in the office, which is like in New York, and it is 8 o'clock already, you should understand that they're closed. You need to call after hours, something like that. I think Brand is already here. Any other questions, guys? Brenda, remember I told, so she's a broker. Be prepared with your questions. Oh, hi, pretty.
Hi, Oksana. How are you?
Good, good. I have a very
Good.
smart group here. I'm gonna make you co-host if
Okay.
you want to show them your load board as a broker. They're using the same load board,
Oh, they are?
right?
Okay, well, I'll just kind of talk to them then. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Are you guys in Chicago?
No, they're all around.
Oh, they're all around. Oh, okay. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, well, my name is Brenda, and I'm a freight broker. I'm actually calling you out of Texas, Fort Worth, Texas area. Is anybody in here from the Dallas area? Anybody? No? Okay. Okay, anyway, glad to be on here. I actually am in Chicago quite a bit. Liz and I kind of teach the freight broker classes together, and I know Oksana does the dispatch. But I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about freight brokering. You're going to be working with a lot of freight brokers, a couple ways, either calling on loads on the load boards or, however you're going to do it, go after your own customers or whatever. But I just want to kind of let you know what we look for with a dispatcher, what makes us really, really want to work with a dispatcher. It's to our advantage to work with a dispatcher because you guys are actually the ones working with the drivers. I'm a firm believer of letting the driver drive. I don't know if any of you guys have ever driven a big rig before, but it's a lot of responsibility. And if they have a dispatcher, they can actually talk to the brokers for them. It helps them. If they have a dispatcher that can look for loads for them, when they get to a resting point, they don't want to have to go and find loads for themselves. They want to rest. They've been driving. So your job is a really, really important job. What makes a broker want to use a dispatcher is this. When we go after our customers, there's a lot of competition out here with freight brokers. When we go after our customers, sometimes it takes a little while to get one, and so we want to keep them. What makes us be able to keep our customers is updating. It's not so much the rates and all this, that's all part of it, but a customer will fire us if we can't give them an update. So since you guys have the drivers, we're depending on you guys to give us updates. For example, if we have a load, you booked a load with us for your driver, and the driver is supposed to pick up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have to let my customer know at least about 30 minutes ahead of time if the driver is there. I was like, okay, the driver is pulling into the shipping area, or the driver is 5 minutes away. I need to let them know ahead of time. I can't let them know 30 minutes before that the driver is 2 hours away. That's what causes problems between the broker and the customer. So I always want to use dispatchers that tell me the information I need so I can look good to my customer, so I can keep the customer. With updates, I'm not sure how far you guys have come in your training, but if a driver's been there for more than 2 hours, he's owed detention. Have you guys talked about that yet? I don't know. No, okay. So if a So if a driver's been there for more than 2 hours, I have to let my customer know that, hey, this guy's not unloaded. We need to, do something about that. So at 2 hours, the dispatcher should let me know the driver's still there so I can give that information to my customer, because that's when detention starts. And detention is normally 2 hours free. Anytime after that, the customer will normally pay like $50 an hour. So I can't let them know at 2 o'clock in the afternoon that the driver's been there all day, because the customer won't want to pay. They'll say, well, if you would have told me at 10 o'clock, I could have possibly helped the driver get loaded, which really isn't the case, but that's kind of an out for them if it's 2 o'clock and he's not unloaded yet. I can't imagine what you could have done at 10. But that's what we have to let our customers know. Same with the delivery. As soon as the driver is delivered, the load is delivered, we have to let the customer know. And this is the big point right here. Drivers are given a bill of lading. When they deliver, they get the bill of lading signed. As a broker, I have to depend on the dispatchers to send me over a signed bill of lading as soon as the driver is delivered, because my customer doesn't consider the load delivered until they get it. So I can call them and say, hey, the load's delivered. The first thing they say is, okay, great, I don't see the signed bill of lading. Because remember, these are people in corporate America. My customer also has a boss who is like, is the load delivered? Is the load delivered? I don't see the paperwork. So I want to use a dispatcher that automatically sends me the signed bill of lading. The customer will not want to use me if I can't do that for them. Because remember, they may be working with 20 brokers. The brokers that give them the best updates are the ones they're going to keep. They're not going to beg a broker to give them updates. They just won't use them anymore. Doesn't matter how good you are, how good a job you do. If you can't give your customer updates, they will not use you, and they'll just scratch you off the list. So that's why I think it's so important for brokers and dispatchers to work together. We don't want to call your drivers. You're calling the driver's family's calling them. They don't need one more person to call. So we'd like to just depend on you guys to do that for us. Getting paperwork back. These are all things that are important, because the broker works for the customer, the dispatcher works for the driver, okay? But the driver is the most important person in this whole equation. That without the driver, nothing gets picked up and delivered. So, most good brokers are driver friendly. We try to pay the driver as much as we possibly can. When the customer drops our rate, we drop the driver's rate. But now, if a customer is paying the broker good, the broker is supposed to pay the driver good. Now, just like you guys aren't working for free, we don't work for free either. Most brokers try to get a 10 to 15% commission. So you can kind of do the math. If your customer gives you a load for $2,500 and you want to get 15%, of a commission, so you kind of can figure out how much you would have to charge pay for the driver. Okay, so if the customer gives you $2,500, most brokers try to make a $200 or $300 commission on each load. So you try to sell it to the driver for $2,200, if possible, so you can make a commission. But it has to be a situation where the driver is going to be happy with what they get. Like, for example, sometimes the customer will say, okay, I need a truck going from Dallas to Atlanta. We'll say, okay, well, what is your rate? Oh, I don't really have a rate. I'll say, well, what do you feel comfortable paying? Oh, just give me a rate. So now, see, bam, there we are. We have a system. We go on Truck Stop where we can kind of tell in the past what a customer is used to paying. Sometimes we'll post the load on the load board. There won't be a rate on there, and so drivers will call And I'll say, hey, how much can you move the load for? And they'll say, okay, I can move it for, 2,400. Well, if the customer is going to pay me 24, I can't give 25. I can't give it to you for 24. So that's kind of when the negotiation starts. But it's a good broker will try to make sure that they're making money and the driver's making money, because the customer is going to be making money. You don't even have to worry about them, because they're definitely not doing this for free. So that's kind of how that whole cycle works with the brokers and the dispatchers. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Brenda.
Hi.
For interesting information. Hello. I would like to ask you, what the main mistakes make dispatchers which start work like dispatcher? Maybe they don't ask some information for load or something else. What's the main mistakes make dispatcher?
I'm going to read you one that I just sent a dispatcher just now. Third request. I need the signed bill of lading. So we've already gone into a bad situation. I'm already like not wanting to use the dispatcher again. And it's a shame, because I gave the dispatcher 3 loads. The dispatcher did a great job giving the driver's information, giving me updates. But now, guess what? The loads delivered. The loads delivered yesterday. I can't prove to my customer that the loads delivered. So the customer's looking at me like it's late. So that's a lot of times what happens is with dispatchers and drivers, when my load is delivered, a lot of them think, okay, yeah, that's fine, it's over, let's go to the next one. Well, it may be over for them, but it's not over for me. So that last piece is what is a mistake that sometimes dispatchers make. Okay, and then another is not forwarding the drivers the correct paperwork. Now, most brokers, when you do a load, the customer will give you a rate confirmation, and they will give you a bill of lading. Okay, now as a dispatcher, you need to be a little persistent about getting that bill of lading from the broker, because the drivers are actually supposed to take in that paperwork. If they go in and say, hey, I don't have a bill of lading, but this is picking up in Dallas going to Atlanta. Well, there might be 10 loads picking up in Dallas and going to Atlanta, different stores in Atlanta, different warehouses. So get the bill of lading and give it to the driver. Some of the drivers, like, well, I don't want to take it, or they won't have time to. You don't have to really print it out unless the customer says print it out. Now, if you're talking about port freight and all that, yeah, you got to print it out. But we have to rely on you to get the bill of lading to the driver, because we'll get a call from the customer saying this. Okay, remember, the customer doesn't know anything about who the dispatcher is. The customer doesn't know anything who the driver is. So I'll get a call from the customer. It's like, okay, we got a driver walking in here, doesn't know what he's picking up. You see how that happens? And I've already sent the information to the dispatcher. So now it's a situation where my customer thinks I'm just sending drivers in, no paperwork, don't know anything. I'm just here to pick up a load out of Dallas. I get a phone call immediately. So just remember, in this business, no one knows anybody. I'm calling customers. A customer is trusting me with 100,000 pounds, of cargo. They don't know who I am. $100,000, sorry, $100,000 worth of freight. The customer's trusting me with that much freight on the truck. They don't know who I am. The customer is paying me $4,000. They don't know who I am. I'm giving it to a dispatcher. I don't know who they are. I don't know who the driver is. So you see where communication is so important? Nobody knows anybody. So only thing we have to depend on is our communication. The dispatchers that communicate, before I even post the load, I'll pick up a phone and say, hey, you were in Seattle last week, you got a driver there? Because it's to my advantage. Once I post a load on the load board, I'm gonna get all these calls. You know, I'm gonna get all these pushy drivers from Chicago calling, trying to get more money. So I would rather have a dispatcher that is like, hey, you know, thanks for this load. I'm going to be in Chicago again on Wednesday. I'm going to be in Chicago on Friday. Do you get this load all the time? I would love to pick it up for you. Yes, 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 yes. And I would love for you to do that too. So it's all about the communication. There's nothing like having a good broker and nothing like having a good dispatcher. Your life is so much easier. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Brenda, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
If you send some documents for dispatchers, and when dispatchers start to change some articles, maybe some reason of these documents, you like it like a broker, or you like that dispatcher sign all document and give it to you?
Okay, so are you asking me, do I want the dispatcher to sign the document or the driver?
I say that you sent, like a broker, you sent a document for dispatcher, yes, and dispatcher must sign this document. It can be bill of lading or something else. And when dispatcher sees some articles which not working for them, some question of this,
Yes.
you like if a dispatcher tells some questions, want to change something,
Yes.
or like a broker when everything signed and it will be quickly without no questions.
Yeah, whenever, you know, since this is all computerized stuff, sometimes the customer will send me something, like they may say, okay, I have 10 pallets for you to pick up. In the email, that's what they say it. When they send me the bill of lading, it might say 8. Well, the dispatcher saw it posted as 10. So a dispatcher always reviews. It's like, hey, wait a minute. You sent me this early. You sent this, you said it was 10, but it says 8. So then I go back to the customer and get a new one. So yeah, you have to check this brokers, because sometimes we're moving so fast. And this is another thing that happens. The customer will send us email information to find a truck. And then one thing they usually leave off is the weight. It's like, okay, this is what it's average. It's not over, it's just a regular load. It's not oversized. The dimensions are just regular, you know. Well, regular is regular in, you know, different things. They may say 25,000 pounds in the email. When I get the bill of lading, it says 40. The driver's not going to be too happy if he booked a load for 25,000 and he gets the bill of lading and it says 40. That's why I like to be sure and send paperwork to the dispatcher so they can kind of check it too. Because just for fun, what would be the difference for a driver between 25,000 pounds and 40,000? Why would you think he may not want the heavier one?
It's a higher way of cargo, the slot.
Somebody else?
The cost of diesel?
The cost of diesel. So that's why we have to be very careful as brokers to get the information. Sometimes the customers are a little tricky because they know it's like, okay, well, I'm getting a quote for 25,000, so I'm just going to slip in 40, and then they'll try to say, well, you already gave me a quote. So, you know, it's like, they're kind of like that sometimes. So we have to be careful. But yeah, it's a good thing. Before you sign any documents or whatever, take a look at it and then have the broker change it. You know, don't go for this, oh, it's okay, go in and take it. No. You know, brokers, you know, sometimes you get busy, sometimes brokers are lazy, or, you know, just whatever. But always check out the broker and make sure they, you know, have it. One more thing, talking about that. On the load board, you guys have kind of talked about load boards. And you guys see where you have rates posted on the load boards, right? The broker has a rate. Don't take that rate from the very beginning. Ask for more. There's no brokers on here. If you guys tell them I said this, I'll deny it, okay? Say that right now, I'm denying it. So if a broker has $22,000 posted on the board, it's pretty safe to ask for $2,200 or $2,300. We have more money. Remember, we're trying to make money. Just like you guys are trying to make money. You got a driver and he's saying, I won't move my truck for $2, less than $2 a mile. Well, just think, if you keep coming in with $2.50 a mile, he's going to want to keep you and tell all of his friends, like, hey, you need this dispatcher. So always ask for more money. We may have it or we may not. But, you know, brokers are kind of known for having a little bit more money that's posted on the load board. You know, I do that too. You know, so just ask for it. Never take that first amount. Ask for it. Any more questions? Nope.
Brenda, can I ask you a question about the pickup times? Because lately we have a lot of problem with this.
Okay.
One time is in the documents it's one time, and then the driver comes to the facility and they no, your pickup was 2 hours earlier.
Oh.
And then we have to wait for walk in. Is it the dispatcher responsibility to double check with the company, not like a broker, with the company? What is the...
No, you should never check with the company. If a broker gives you a load, you have to check with the broker and not the company.
So, and if this is a situation, they need to pay you because it's not your fault you're late, right? And then you're losing time.
Yeah. So a lot of times a customer will send over a confirmation to us and says the driver needs to be there at 8 o'clock. Well, the driver's there at 8 o'clock and the load ain't even ready. But as long as I have 8 o'clock on my paperwork and I give it to you for 8 o'clock, it's the customer's responsibility. They have to pay attention. So sometimes you just have to wait. But the reason why we don't like for the dispatchers to call the customers directly, and I'll give you a perfect example of this. I do a lot of flatbed loads. So my customer is in Seattle, Washington. His freight is in Chicago at a warehouse. Someone's already taken it there. It's at a warehouse. So the crane appointment was for 10 o'clock. So the driver, the dispatcher calls the shipper, the customer, and that's what the pickup location, and says, hey, the driver's running late. And the person that answers the phone said, hey, don't worry about it because we load up until 3 o'clock. Okay, so you follow me so far? And so the driver gets there at 2, and so the customer calls me and says, well, I'm about to send you over a revised confirmation. I'm like, well, why? He said, because you had our crane wait there from 10, 11, 12, 4 hours. We're charging this crane company's charging us $150 an hour. So they billed me $600. So you see why the shipper, the pickup location doesn't even know what crane is coming because it was arranged in Seattle. The freight is just there waiting for somebody to pick up. So he gave me the right information. Yeah, we don't close until 3 or 4. Now, this is why if the dispatcher would have called me, I would have told them, okay, your guy's running late. Let me call this crane company right quick and see if I can move this appointment back. But I didn't have the opportunity to because I wasn't called. That's the main reason why. The pickup location does not always have to be the customer. Everybody calls the shipper customer, but that's not necessarily the case. It could be 2 different people.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys?
Yes, I have a question. My question is, how you chosen me, I'm a new dispatcher, yeah? I'm call you, and after me calling 5 another dispatcher. How you chosen which dispatcher will work? Okay, so you're calling about the same load, or you're just calling period? Yes. Okay. A couple things. If it's the first time the dispatcher has ever called, I don't really have anything to go on. Just I give everybody a chance. If you're a new driver, if you're a new dispatcher, I don't care if you've been on the job for 2 days, it doesn't make any difference. Everybody deserves a first chance. So as long as you give me updates. Now, if I have to say you might have 10 trucks to dispatch, because I know dispatchers, you guys get busy, So say you have 10 trucks or whatever to dispatch for, you may be so busy, you can't even give me information like, is the driver there? Is he running late? So I'm going to get your driver's phone number from you, first of all. I will not use it until I call you a couple times and you don't answer. Because these customers, they're calling us like, is he there? Is he there? Texting, emailing. I thought you told me he was there. Why don't you, so it's just like, okay. So I give everybody a first chance. It's all about updates. If I get updates, I'll use you time and time again. If you give great updates, I will seek you out to use you again. That's all it's based on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not true that I heard that new dispatch, new companies, they get the worst loads.
No, it's not.
No,
It's not. Yeah, some brokers won't even use drivers that have not been in business for 6 months.
Mhm.
Some brokers won't. But it doesn't make any difference to me, because you can have a driver that's been in business for a long time, and I'll say, hey, can you print out this bill of lading and take it in? Because I want to make sure you pick up the same load. I've come here all the time. I don't understand why I got to pick it up, why I got to print it out now. You must be new. You must have not picked up here before, blah, 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 blah. A new driver will tend to do exactly what you asked him to do. No problems. And sometimes it's so much easier working with new drivers. I figure if they went through all this to get their MC, go to truck driving school or whatever, they're just as good as somebody that's not. Now, if we're talking about doing some heavy haul going up through Alaska or something like that, yeah, no, you have to be an experienced driver. But just like the regular loads, van loads, I feel like any driver can do that.
Got it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sure, Brenda. One more question.
Uh-huh.
I heard situation when a broker doesn't pay for carriers. In this case, how a dispatcher or company of dispatcher can take money for broker? Because sometimes customers can not pay for broker, and in this situation, I understand that broker must pay for a truck company which deliver products of lots. But I hear a lot of that broker not paid, and how in this case?
Okay. If I was a dispatcher, unless it was a large company like JB Hunt, Landstar, CH Robinson, or something like that, if they're not a large company, like if they're just like small brokers like most of us are, if the broker does not have a factoring company, I would not book the load. I don't know if you guys have talked about factoring companies yet, but like my factoring company, the minute a load is delivered, I have to send them proof. That's another reason you need to sign bill of lading. You have to send your factoring company proof that this load is delivered. So if I send all that paperwork in to my factoring company before 2 o'clock, they pay me the next day. They also pay the drivers the next day, within 1 or 2 days. So because with me as a factoring company, as a broker, the reason I use a factoring company is because my customers are slow pay. If you're dealing with some big customers, if you're talking about the Walmarts, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, they don't pay their bills. They don't like to pay their bills. They're not paying you for like 60 or 90 days. So you can't ask the driver to wait. You have to have a factoring company. Some brokers that don't have a factoring company, they get a $5,000 load and this driver's wanting to get paid. They don't have $5,000 in their checking account. So they're like, hey, I'm going to pay you next week. I'm going to pay you. No, it's just, if I were a dispatcher and if it wasn't a big company, there's nothing a broker could tell me to book a load with them if they don't have a factoring company.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about factoring next.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. All righty, guys, any more questions? Okay.
Yeah, do you have questions, guys? You're so quiet today.
You're quiet.
Alex.
You guys are going to make some good money, though. I'm telling you, that's great. Dispatching is like, wow, the loads are there, you call in, because drivers are paying you a certain percent. I try to, if I was a dispatcher, man, I would try to get on that load board and wouldn't take 2,000. I'd ask for 2,500, 24, whatever I can get, because the driver's going to be happy with me. And then if he's happy, how drivers talk at the truck stop. Hey, you know what? Alexandra, she gave me these loads and she always pays me more than I asked for. And then before you know it, all their friends are calling you. So.
Yeah.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I have been late for the class.
Oh, hi, Miriam.
So nice to meet you. My name is Miriam. And well, I have been listening to the lecture for some 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't know what has been discussed in the past 1 hour, but I have a question. I don't know whether this is the right question for this lecture.
Okay.
But I'm working at a dispatch service.
Mhm.
So, and now we are in the stage of developing our service, and we have our drivers and so on. The team is doing substantial
Okay.
profit, but we want to develop it. So lately we have developed like a program for our team, like how to communicate with their drivers, how to build relationships. So because you will agree with me that in dispatch service, building relationships with dedicated drivers is a very important thing. So what would you advise in this respect? How to communicate, for example, with how to build better relationships with drivers? What is your attitude in this case? How to make the driver your dedicated one, so that he would not go to other service, so that he would
Stay with you.
want to stay with you, with your company, and what is the best way of communication with them, and
Okay.
what do you prioritize in this case, and how to work with problematic drivers, because among drivers there are people with like hard characters, hard to deal with, and so on. They are all the time on the road, like have no time, are nervous, and so on.
Yeah.
So what's your approach in this respect?
Okay, so what I'm going to do, Miriam, I'm going to let Oksana answer a lot of the question, but what I'm going to do is I'll answer from a broker aspect.
Okay.
If you pay a driver good money, he'll like you better. and the way to pay a driver more money is not to accept the rates that you see on the broker board, the load boards. You remember, you're working for the driver, so you want to get your driver as much money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you develop a good relationship. I'm working for the customer, so I'm trying to give my customer the best deal as possible, so they won't go to another broker. Okay, so that's the way how I would think that you can kind of keep drivers.
The money will change attitude, right?
The money will change everything. Some drivers they like to have what they call a dedicated run, where they know where they're going to be, like every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday. The only way you can get a dedicated run is to ask the broker if they have it. Today, still, if I talk to 10 dispatchers, only one will ask me that. No, they'll just take the load and it's like, okay, thank you. No one hardly ever says, hey, what do you have Wednesday? When are you going to have this load again? Can I take this load all the time for you? No one asked me that question. But the answer would be yes, if someone would ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And another question, do you think there are some brokerages that have special loads of a special kind? For example, it is very hard in the market to find loads for Sprinter vans. So,
that's hard.
do you think there are any brokerages, for example, in the United States, that that possess a strong base of Sprinter loads?
Yeah, there's a certain load board that handles that. Oh God, I can't find the name of it. You know the name
You
of
may
it?
Selectus.
Yeah. That's where.
Well, to tell the truth, we have been using Selectus, but as a matter of fact, there are no many options there.
There is nothing more, Miriam.
Yeah, it's
If there is no in Selectus, there is nothing more.
only thing you can do is, okay, like for example, if I post a load on the load board, it may be 5,000 pounds, but I may just put 53-foot van out of habit. That load will go on a 22-foot truck, a Sprinter van. So kind of read through the lines, because remember, I'm trying to do this quick. So it's like 53. Okay, there we go. Now I'll have more experienced dispatchers call me and say, hey, this load is just 5,000. Can it go on a Sprinter van? Well, yeah, it can, and I'll give it to you. But you have to ask. You have to ask for it.
Yeah, we use that method actually, but we are just in the stage of finding some way to find loads for Sprinter vans, because we have a lot of drivers who have Sprinters, but actually there's shortage of Sprinter and load boards in like some brokerages that specialize or maybe have many of them.
That's a flaw in the industry. If we always talk about it, man, if we had customers that had Sprinter vans, oh my God, our life would be so much easier. Because there's so many trucks out there, that these Sprinter brands and shorter trucks, 22 foot. So that's just one of those things. You have to work a little harder, but I have put.
But is it possible, to find some warehouses, maybe warehouses that should have this state?
We should ask about it in Elliot, right, Brenda? Elliot is going to be on Friday. Elliot is our guru on Sprinter vans. Maybe he can give you some insights.
He can. And
Okay,
he's a selection expert too.
Thank you very much for the answers.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, guys. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
If y'all have any questions,
Very
whatever.
good tips.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling from us.
Okay, Oksana has my information. If you guys have any questions.
Yep,
So.
yep, I'll share.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks,
so much,
guys.
BG.
Bye
See
bye.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, guys. There you go. Have a good day.